全球目光再次聚焦台湾，但这一次不是因为 AI， 不是因为台积电，也不是因为中国在弄我们。It's all because of the ridiculous clown show that is 2024's Paris Olympics. JK Rowling has accused林郁婷, one of our athletes, of cheating. That's right, and now the whole world is completely fixated on the news. Who ain't doing too good a job of getting their facts straight, because according to them, a trans boxer defeated a non-trans boxer? Nah, a trans boxer beat up a woman boxer, yo. And this pissed off a lot of people. Now hold up, I know a few of you might have gotten triggered or about to close this video, but stick with me for a second, because I need to make it clear that I do support trans rights. I just don't support trans women competing in sports against biological women. And that brings us to today's sponsor, the English word chill.
Daddy, chill.
What the hell is even that?
So today, I'm going to reveal to you why林郁婷is one of Taiwan's most powerful boxers, and also I'm going to show you exactly why I think she will probably, almost definitely, win that Olympic gold medal this year. And it's all because of a very shocking secret, which I will reveal to you later on in this video, because you know, YT viewer retention, bruh. And if you're against trans women competing in sports, then you most definitely, absolutely have to share this video with your friends. So prepare that bao mi hua as you are about to find out the truth about Taiwan's most powerful female boxer. 代志大条。Alright, so because this is a very sensitive topic, and maybe you skipped the intro and came straight to chapter 1, let me say this again. I believe that most trans people just want to go about their lives like any ordinary person, and they don't want to be bullied or mocked or discriminated against just because of their sexual orientation, their race, their bloodline, or even their gender. Now that doesn't mean that everybody is going to like you, but unfortunately there's a very tiny group who is aiming to force people to not only like them, but to give them advantages. And this ain't just a trans issue, yo. Non-trans people participate in this goofiness as well. Which brings me to Exhibit A, presidential candidate Kamala Caramel Kamehameha Harris, who for years pushed herself as an Indian American politician.
I stand before you as the first candidate for Vice President of the United States of South Asian descent.
But now, upon seeing the possibility that she might actually move into the White House, she suddenly flipped and put on a Southern black accent and now is calling herself black.
But I'm black.
Yes.
And I'm proud of being black.
Absolutely.
And I was born black, I will die black.
Homegirl is literally becoming transracial for political benefit. But this ain't the first time this has happened. This actually happened a couple of years back with swimmer Leah Thomas.
23-year-old Leah Thomas, the swimmer, became the first known transgender athlete to win a Division I national title. Thomas, who began her transition as a sophomore at UPenn, speaking out recently for the first time on GMA.
Are there Olympics in your future?
It's been a goal of mine to swim at Olympic trials for a very long time, and I would love to see that through.
But I gotta give Leah Thomas props, and this is where she fares a lot better than Kamehameha, because at least she's willing to look into the camera and admit that she's transgender.
There are some who look at the data and suggest that you're enjoying a competitive advantage. What do you say to that?
There's a lot of factors that go into a race and how well you do. And the biggest change for me is that I'm happy. And sophomore year, where I had my best times competing with the men, I was miserable. And so having that be lifted is incredibly relieving and allows me to put my all into training, into racing.
Some of the critics would say, oh, you transitioned in order to be successful.
Trans people don't transition for athletics. We transition to be happy and authentic and our true selves. Transitioning to get an advantage is not something that ever factors into our decisions.
You didn't transition to win more medals.
No.
Homegirl didn't flip to win medals. She did this to feel more like herself, which is a big difference from Kamehameha Harris, who's just doing this to win the White House. Not only that, but if you take a close look at Leah Thomas's record whenever she was a male and whenever she was a female, and you compare the two, you see something glaringly obvious. And for the few radical feminists who are watching this channel, prepare to piss all over me on threads. I don't give a fuck. I'm gonna say it. Men and women are physically and physiologically different, yo. Now, generally speaking, that means to come to a conclusion based on things that you see in everyday life, men have a serious physiological advantage over women when it comes to sports. But hey, I'm not a professional athlete, so don't listen to me. Why don't you listen to the people who have been competing in professional sports for years?
For me, tennis and men's tennis and women's tennis are completely almost two separate sports. So I'm like, if I were to play Andy Murray, I would lose 6-0, 6-0 in 5 to 6 minutes, maybe 10 minutes, because it's true. It's true. It's a completely different sport. The men are a lot faster, and they serve harder, they hit harder. It's just a different game. And I love to play women's tennis, and I only want to play girls because I don't want to be embarrassed. I would not do the tour. I wouldn't do Billie Jean any justice. So Andy, stop it. Yeah. I'm not gonna let you kill me.
In your experience, is there a difference between women and men?
Of course. I think we learned this at a very young age, watching even 12 and unders play. Going through puberty causes irreversible advantage that no matter the training, no matter the diet, no matter any alterable change you can make, will overcome that male advantage, especially in sports like swimming where lung capacity matters so much. Even something as silly as throat size, men have on average a 40% larger throat, which sounds like it's nothing, but when you're grasping for air, that 40% larger throat makes a huge difference in athletic success, not to mention height. You guys know the differences. My husband, he swam at University of Kentucky as well. In terms of accolades and in terms of national ranking, I was a much better swimmer than him. He could kick my butt any day of the week.
Hey, these two women are the top of the top, yo. They're about this life. So for all the keyboard warriors who support transgender athletes without any exception and all the SJWs, I tell you once again from our sponsored word of today,
Daddy, chill.
So after the Leah Thomas incident, World Aquatics had to make some serious changes to their rules, and they worked hard to be as fair as possible when they drew the line between the transgender community and women's rights.
A bombshell ruling in the world of international sports. As of this morning, the swimming world's governing body, FINA, effectively banning transgender athletes from competing in women's events. The organization voting that it will only allow women who have transitioned by age 12 to compete in international races like the Olympics. The FINA spokesperson telling the AP that according to the scientists they consulted, if you transition after the start of puberty, you have an advantage, which is unfair. While the science is still evolving, some medical experts say the effects of higher testosterone during male puberty may never be fully erased.
What are the physical aspects that trans women may not be able to roll back with hormone therapy?
Obviously, issues related to body size, airway size, hand size, foot size, perhaps bone density, and so forth. But I think the main thing is just the interactions of exercise training and skeletal muscle.
Now, this regulation prevents Leah Thomas from participating in the Olympics against female athletes. Now, I actually think this is a very fair approach. Now, of course, this approach leads to a whole other topic of trans children in sports, but that's a topic we ain't gonna talk about today. But at least now you have a clearer picture of how this all played out. So in short, athletes who transition post-puberty cannot participate in international women's sports competitions, regardless of which chromosomes they have. So with that out of the way, let's move on to Olympic athlete林郁婷. Because what I discovered is something that you may not even know that will completely shock you, dude. So change out that bucket of popcorn, add more butter and a little bit of sugar, cause 代誌大條. Now, this is a part where former Fox News superstar turned YouTuber megynkelly decided to weigh in on this controversy. Now, for those of you who have never heard of her, megynkelly is very outspokenly anti-woke, and she also has a very strained love-hate relationship with Donald Trump.
I have zero respect for megynkelly. I don't think she's very good at what she does. I think she's highly overrated.
Trump, who is the front runner, will not apologize. And I certainly will not apologize for doing good journalism.
Now, although I don't agree with all of her takes, she's usually pretty good at getting the facts straight. But in this case, she messed up bad.
You have XY chromosomes, you're a man, for athletic purposes and other purposes. And this person was banned from competing in international tournaments last year, and yet was allowed to enter the Olympics so he could pummel female boxers. They failed the gender eligibility test. I mean, that's what they're saying. You know why? Because it's a man.
So Mrs. Kelly, you made two mistakes here, but I will give you the benefit of the doubt, because when this controversy first popped off, everyone was completely bombarded with misinformation at the hands of the mainstream media, on the left and especially the right. So let's have a look at what actually went down. Firstly, those two boxers were disqualified by the IBA in 2023. But here's the kicker, yo. The IBA publicly stated that they did not check for testosterone levels in their testing. And in the name of confidentiality, they were not willing to disclose exactly what they tested for. But based on the meeting notes that they released, it's pretty clear that whatever was in their test results inclined everyone on that committee except one person to vote in favor of disqualifying those boxers. Now, although we know for sure is that even though they didn't release the test results, both boxers did not meet their eligibility requirements. And although the president of the IBA publicly claimed in a Russian media report that they had XY chromosomes, he didn't provide any test results. Now, I know some of you probably aren't convinced and are already taking to the comments to rip me a new one. So before you press send, let us say it together. Here's where I'm about to completely blow your wig off, because even if they both have XY chromosomes, this does not mean they are men. Don't take it from me, I don't know shit. Take it from actual medical professionals, yo.
So into childhood and adolescence, some of these conditions may not actually be diagnosed into childhood. For congenital adrenal hyperplasia, some of the metabolic abnormalities may not appear until puberty comes around, and so it's important to diagnosis at that point, and also to provide endocrinological management and psychological support as the child is becoming an adolescent and young adult as well. Then you have your phenotypic sex. So that's if you look male or you look female. So you may be chromosomally male, XY, but actually appear to be female. For example, androgen insensitivity syndrome, where these patients appear completely female, and it's not until puberty that they've maybe received a diagnosis. Regarding terms and terminology, many of you may be familiar with this, but traditionally, in the past, some of these patients were referred to as intersex, hermaphrodites, or pseudo-hermaphrodites. And hermaphroditism is a term that's coming from the Greek for Hermes and Aphrodite, and it really refers to a patient who has completely functional male and female genitalia, which is scientifically and clinically inaccurate for these patients and very stigmatizing. So there's a movement to no longer use these words, leave them in the past, and use more clinically and scientifically relevant terms. Overall, term these conditions disorders of sexual differentiation.
Now this video comes courtesy of Cooper Medical School at Rowan University. I'll put the link down in the description below. And it turns out that both of these athletes could probably have a condition known as DSD, which basically means that even though a person's physical appearance might be female and their genitals might be female, they could still have XY chromosomes. And these type of people are pretty rare. I mean, like really, really rare. We're talking 0.018% of the population. And regarding the two countries involved, Algeria, which has a population of 45 million people, statistically would have about 3,600 people suffering from this condition. And when it comes to our country, Taiwan, which has about 26 million people, that would mean that roughly 2,600 people suffer from this condition. If you could even call it that. Some people might call it a superpower. So they were born with female organs, raised as women, but their bodies actually have XY chromosomes. And let me be clear, up until now, we have zero confirmation that either one of these women actually has a superpower known as DSD, which is why in this case, megynkelly, you are really, really wrong. But hey, it happens. Even me, I made this mistake a couple of months back when I did a video discussing two Chinese female athletes, and upon seeing pictures and looking at their physical appearance, I made the assumption that they were trans.
你猜哪个是女的？
第三个是女生，最左边感觉有一点像女生，但是因为我看下面7号他的 package 他好像有包裹。Dude on the right with a thumbs up is definitely a dude.
最左边那个
My man, I say he's a dude. Also the 第二从左边第二位 is also a dude. 而且那个女生的骨盆 is more defined, whereas the guys, because guys don't really have hip, and also他们的那个腹肌也比较明显。
And with China's female population at 700 million people, that would mean that there's at least 126,000 people who have the superpower known as DSD. So in conclusion, my previous ignorance about DSD made me look like a complete and total fool. So as a former survivor of imbecility, megynkelly, say it with me.
Daddy, chill.
Now, where I can forgive megynkelly for her seemingly honest mistake, this next public figure is a different story, because she don't seem to chill at all. Enter in jkrowling, who a couple of days ago on Twitter said this.
What will it take to end this insanity? A female boxer left with life-altering injuries? A female boxer? Someone with a DSD cannot help the way they were born, but they can choose not to cheat. They can choose not to take medals from women. They can choose not to cause injury.
And this is where jkrowling is very different from megynkelly, because she already knew and was aware of what DSD is. But in spite of this, she decided to publicly accuse our athlete of cheating. So firstly, just like everyone else, you have no idea if our athlete even has DSD. That's her privacy. And even if she did, she would have to keep it in check in order to comply with the rules of the Olympic Committee. That means no gender reassignment surgery, yo. Secondly, fun fact, Algeria is homophobic as fuck, yo. If you're even suspected of being in a same-sex relationship, they will lock your ass in a cage. So I think it's safe to say that Algeria don't give a damn about trans lives. They won't even let you change your gender on your passport, yo. But in Taiwan, trans lives do matter. But despite this,林郁婷gender is actually written on her ID card, yo. She has been a female since birth and has not undergone any sort of gender reassignment surgery. So if she meets the qualifications, how in the hell is she cheating? Now, Ms. Rowling, not only are you speculating about our athletes' privacy, which 真的很没礼貌，其实很不尊重人耶，干， but you're also making the assumption that her natural given abilities is considered cheating. 这个超级不 chill, yo.
Daddy, chill.
But here's the kicker. JK Rowling and林郁婷actually have a lot in common. And in the next chapter, I'm going to show you exactly what it is and also reveal the shocking secret that will make you look at林郁婷completely different than you do now. The story of JK Rowling is one that inspired people all across the globe. A single mother who barely survived bouts of domestic abuse while living alone with her child on welfare, she ultimately was inspired to write one of the greatest children's book series of all time. And this is where JK Rowling and林郁婷cross paths. So allow me to show you the first thing they have in common. Now this video is from 10 years ago. Her parents separated when she was young and her father used to beat her mother. And just like JK Rowling,林郁婷was also a victim of domestic abuse. Not to mention her economic pressure at the time. Second thing they both have in common. When JK Rowling was born, her parents wanted a boy. And when林郁婷was born a girl, they pushed her to become more feminine. So both of these women's genders caused them a lot of suffering.
对他来说，比起自己的外观被批评与质疑，真正让他感到挫折的是比赛失利。
冬奥嘛，那时候众所期望金牌的候选人，结果你第一场就再见，哇！原本是高度自信的状态，的状态，然后结果突然输掉，就犹如一颗原子弹打下来。
JK Rowling also suffered a lot of failures in her life, to the point where she even considered self-deletion. And林郁婷also considered giving up boxing as well. But what's coming up next is the most important similarity of all.
在规定。
听到这些风言风语，当然会就觉得不舒服啊。
反正就像那句话嘛，就擂台上的事情就擂台上解决，有本事你打回来。
好险他的选手是打不死的蟑螂，对，一步一步就是坚持的到现在。
Just like林郁婷, JK Rowling has suffered a lot of verbal online attacks. But in spite of all the attacks and harassment online, they insisted on moving forward. So as you can see, these two have a lot more common than you would think. And JK Rowling fully understands the impact that verbal violence online can have on people. So now on to the main event. The shocking secret will be revealed of how林郁婷is so powerful and how she has unlocked the cheat code.
基本上教练给我的东西就是什么都练，体能就是跑，要求你要跑得比男生快，你出拳要出得比男生多，速度就是尽量就是超越男生，就是要比跟你一起训练的男生好，那你才有办法变得更好。
That's right, equal rights, equal fights. She may not be a man, but she sure as damn is training with him.
You are a badass.
She's got this game locked in hell mode, yo, which is why so many other female boxers don't dare train with her. And this is also the reason why I think she will almost certainly, definitely, yo couldn't win the Olympic gold medal this year. So, JK Rowling and everyone else who's freaking the fuck out, say it with me one more time.
Daddy, chill.
All right, thank you guys so much for sticking to the end of this video, because I know a lot of Taiwanese people are losing their shit. And if you agree with the points in this video, make sure you not only share it with your friends, but share it on Twitter, because maybe, possibly, yo couldn't, JK Rowling and even Elon Musk might be able to see this shit. Because I really think there has been a huge misunderstanding. But that's just me. Let me know what you think down below. Remember to like, subscribe, and I will see you on the flip side.
Chill.